Hello, Brody Brodingers. Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you are well. Today we're going to be talking about very hyped fragrances, designer fragrances that are actually worth the hype, and then also their cheaper clones. Something, everything is more expensive. Clones are cheap. Everything I talk to you guys about is going to be linked in the description below, so check those out down there. Those links. This is in no particular order, and we are focusing more so on fragrances that are on the newer side of things, with like a couple exceptions, just because, I don't know. I broke my own rules. I don't know, man. I set the rules, this is broken right away. First fragrance I'm going to talk to you about, a little old scent maybe you've heard of called Invictus Victory Elixir, which is a personal favorite of mine. If you love vanilla, then you will probably love that scent. Really good for fall and winter time, big compliment puller, just absolutely killer. The only issue, if you can consider it an issue, is that it is pretty popular. And that means at discounters, it's not gonna drop down all that much in price, at least not down to like the really cheap levels. That's never gonna happen. But you can pick up this for about 25 bucks. It's from Armaf, and it is the pride of Armaf, Admiral. I said that kind of weird, Admiral. I can say that word. Having trouble getting these tester strips out because I got all kinds of stuff over here that I'm gonna give away, and it's taking up room. So, Pride of Armaf Admiral, as I said, smells very similar to one Invictus Victory Elixir. A little bit of a fresh aspect off the top, fresh, spicy, sweet, and then as it dries down, that vanilla comes out very similarly to Invictus Victory Elixir. For the price point, again, about 25 bucks at discounters, an absolute steal. A great release that does not really get talked about a huge amount. Because when it comes to Armaf, what gets talked about the most is clubbed into wee everything, and then all the other stuff kind of falls by the wayside, other than maybe some of the Odyssey fragrances. They get talked about a bit, but that's pretty much how it seems to be. Clubbed in a way, oh my god! Oh, that's what is it? I don't care about that. But if you like Invictus Victory Elixir, you should care about this. Next up, a fragrance from French Avenue, which has a name where if you're a native English speaker like me, you'll be like, what is that? What is that? It is ighwa. Ighwa. Yeah. Ighwa. Let's learn something today. What does ighwa mean? Well, if I type in ighwa, it just brings the fragrance up. So, there we go. I was expecting it to pull up like a definition. Ighwa, it means this. I'm sure it does mean something, but I'm not gonna like deep dive right now. Just spend half my video like, So yeah, this one is from French Avenue, as I said. Nice looking presentation, pretty heavy, but the box? Kind of a monster. Because you see this and it's like, it's not too much. Well, take the slipcover off and then open the gates. I feel like with the reflective gold in here, it's almost like in Pulp Fiction, you know, when they open up the suitcase and it just shines gold. Yeah. So ighwa here is a clone of Tuxedo from Yves Saint Laurent. And I know what you may say, well, they are a bit late to the party there. There are many alternatives to Tuxedo, including some by Fragrance World themselves. And I would say, yes, you are completely correct there. But what else I'll say is this one, of all the clones that I own, is the smoothest of the bunch. So when you spray this one on, it has that very enticing, warm, sexy scent profile, but it doesn't have any harshness around the edges. It's very smooth. And it comes across as a little bit of a higher end alternative than most of the others. Because if we're honest with each other here, some of those, while being really good for the price point, don't smell quite as high quality, not quite as rich. This one though, does. Which next? I'm gonna break the rules again with this one, but then after that, most everything is newer stuff. And this one is actually newer as far as the fragrance itself, but the scent that it smells similar to is not. It's called kaaf. At least that's how I'm going to pronounce it. K-A-A-F. Kaaf. 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 It's from Ahmed al-Maghribi, assuming that I pronounced that correctly. And it's similar to Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce in a lot of ways. Also Percival from Parfums de Marly, because, you know, that one is also similar to Fierce. Funny how that works out. But this is not a one-to-one. No, this is more one of those with a twist type fragrances. And I don't know if you noticed, but That's a pressurized atomizer. If they had only given it a magnetic cap, they would have had a 2 for 2. So yeah, this is very much in the style of those fragrances. Fierce, Percival, Legend, etc., etc. But this has more of a fresh aspect to it. Very, very fresh. So some of the notes in here include watermelon and lavender, along with some floral aspects, sandalwood and musk. You can get it for under 30 bucks, and the performance for a fresh type fragrance, pretty strong. And of course, that pressurized atomizer that sprays out a ton of fragrance don't hurt. I want more atomizers like that, less of the little piddly ones. I've complained about this a lot. I promise I'm not gonna complain long, okay? Just hear me out, brother. I hate the new fragrances coming out with the terrible, terrible, just god-awful atomizers. You're selling me a fragrance for close to 200 bucks after taxes. That's a designer fragrance, and you're gonna give me just a piddly squirt gun of an atomizer, just straight trash. And we got a sub 30 buck, apocalyptically strong, fierce type scent profile, and it's got a fire hose for an atomizer. Like, come on. I know that you're doing the whole refillable bottle thing, but
figure it out.
Okay, back to this. So like I said, similar to Fierce, but done in more of a fresh, kind of sweet aspect, a little salty as well. And this one has gained a lot of popularity. People scooping this one up, wearing it, getting good reactions, and going back to it. So it's kind of one of those ones that's just grown by word of mouth, which is why I now have it. I mean, it's like 28 bucks. Why not? That's basically the thought process. Throw it in the cart. If it sucks, I have had a lot of those. Or I buy them and I'm like, oh, this sucks, trash. Let's go Rayhaan up next. This one is called Corium. Technically Corium for him. Now, when Rayhaan first started getting hyped up to death, I scooped up 3 fragrances, which I still have over here. They're like aquatic line that had Pacific among other fragrances. And they were not great. They were so-so. Suffice it to say, for my own taste, they did not really hit that, you know, hype level where you're like, oh yeah, this stuff is really good, because I've gotten stuff in before that's been hyped and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then with those, it was like, ugh. I have tried a lot of other fragrances since then, obviously, and some of those are very, very good. This one right here, when I picked it up, I bought it from JOMASHOP and I think it was like 20 bucks or something. Yeah, $21.96. So really cheap. And it is a clone or alternative to Stronger With You leather, which unfortunately is discontinued. Pour one out for my dead homies. That doesn't really work here. Spray one out. A little bit cringy, but it works. So unfortunately, Stronger With You leather, yeah, discontinued, and you know what that means. Prices, and it becomes more difficult to find. Just a giant pain in the behind. So it's unfortunate that Stronger With You leather is going to be more and more expensive to find. Yet Rayhaan Corium for 22 bucks does an extremely admirable job getting that Stronger With You leather essence bottled up. It's sweet, it has nice performance, the quality comes across much better than some of the earlier releases, and by and large, actually, a lot of the newer Rayhaans are a bit better. Rayhaan Elixir, which is Lamal Elixir, was pretty good, but there were some better alternatives in my opinion, which I've got one coming up, but the new one, Crimson, that one's pretty solid, which is Centaurus from Creed. That one's actually really good. Well, I already talked about it, so, you know, Lattafa the Kingdom. This is Lamal Elixir, which there are many Lamal Elixir alternatives out there. This one you can usually find for like 25 bucks or so. And I feel like for a lot of people, this is gonna be kind of that sweet spot. You know, not too expensive, but it gets close to the fragrance that you want. It does a good job. It's got that honeyed kind of tonka aspect going on, you know, that richness, that sweetness, little tobacco touch as it dries down. Presentation, looks kind of Trussardi Reflesso-ish with the ridges, ridged for your pleasure. And it has a bunch of cheesy little crystals on there that could pop off, and then it just looks kind of rough. Start looking like a guy missing teeth like right in the front there. You're like, you really should get that fixed, man. But all that aside, it's very good. Fragrance World did just come out with one called Urban Man Elixir, not to be confused with Club de Nuit Urban Man Elixir. And that one's really good as well. So you could check that one out also if you're trying to like collect all of the Lamal Elixir alternatives. It's like Pokemon, collect them all, you gotta catch them all. Yeah, Lattafa the Kingdom, Lamal Elixir. So we got all the Lamal Elixir clones. Question is, when are we gonna get the Lamal Elixir Absolutely Lose Your Mind? Yeah, when are we gonna get those those fragrances, those clones? Am I supposed to scream power now after that? I don't know. What is next? How about this? Lattafa's Jasoor. This is Coral Fantasy. Valentino Uomo, born in Roma, Coral Fantasy. Love the flanker names. I'm torn though. You know, like part of me is like, these flanker names are getting ridiculous. They got these stupid names, you know, and they go on forever. Jean Paul Gaultier, Le Male, Elixir, Absolute, Parfum, Intense, right? I know that's not the real one, but you get the idea. So part of me is like, come on, Valentino Uomo, born in Roma, Coral Fantasy. Like what's next? Coral Fantasy Absolute, Coral Fantasy Parfum, Coral Fantasy Extreme, Coral Fantasies at Night. Who knows? But then the other part of me is like, nah, it's pretty sick actually. I like those goofy flanker names. Just make it weirder, brother. Push your imagination. Valentino Uomo, born in Roma, Event Horizon, Black Hole Edition. Nice. So I poke fun sometimes. Part of me loves the goofy flanker names. Anyway, back to Jasoor. Really affordable, one that initially was kind of scooting under the radar a little bit. Now, I don't pretend to have my finger on the pulse of every single clone fragrance that's coming out. I don't. There's just so many of them that come, I don't know. They're coming out over here, over there, over here, over there, this site, that site, this site, that site. I don't know, there's a lot to keep up with. And I didn't even know this thing was out. I was shopping on JOMASHOP. I had just typed in Lattafa, and I was just legitimately going through like, okay, I own that one, oh, I don't own that one, don't own that one, and just adding them. And I bought, I don't remember, maybe like 10 or 11 or something, and this was one of them. And then got them in, and I was like, oh, this is actually really good. And then after I left the fragrance alone in its room, I let it macerate for a while, I let it mature, it got even better. I know that's really immature of me. I apologize. I'm sorry. But yeah, Jasoor right here is pretty much a year-round fragrance, just like Coral Fantasy. It is extremely close. Essentially one of those ones that tries to like nail it on the head and does an admirable job. That's the word of the day, admirable. Every time I say it, everybody goes, yay! It's like Pee Wee Herman back in the day. So Jasoor, next. Next is coupons. Here are some coupon codes you can use to save money on already cheap fragrances. You're looking at the websites, you're saying, man, that's a cheap price. That's what you're saying. But these coupon codes can make it cheaper, brother. The JOMASHOP ones only work within the JOMASHOP app. They change every quarter, so be aware of that. If they are expired, check a new video. Then there will be new codes, probably. And then there are codes for Frag Flex, the perfume box, Best Brands perfumes, Triple Traders. You can find clones at all those stores. Next up, Lumiere Garcon. This is French Avenue, and this is an alternative to the one Luminous Night. Now, I will say, I find it odd, a little bit odd, that there aren't more the one Luminous Night clones out there. Because let's think about this for a second. The one Luminous Night is a fragrance, at least within the fragrance community, which really, that's who's buying these fragrances. It's not Jimmy Joe Bob Smith, okay? Your average bro out there, he's probably not like, oh, you know what? I gotta go check that new French Avenue. I mean, there are some, but a lot of those guys are just, you know, rocking up to Macy's and buying Sauvage. And within that sphere of people who really enjoy fragrances, who are educated about fragrances, who know about fragrances, all that stuff, the one Luminous Night is something that a lot of people want. And yet it is impossible to find. It is extremely expensive when you do find it. It's that type of fragrance where it's like, oh, that is ripe for somebody to make an alternative to that scent, right? It makes sense. And yet, that's my, I don't know, face. Fragrance World actually came out with another one, which is right over here. You can't see it. I'm lazy. Look, here's a picture. So yeah, they did this one, and it's okay, but it's not quite there. This one, Lumiere Garcon, gets a lot closer with a little caveat. It does have a kind of, ooh, I almost chucked it. It does have kind of a ramped up incense compared to the one Luminous Night, but it is real nice. Like the quality on that, especially as it ages, just gets better and better. Ooh. Presentation's a little bit funny since we're talking presentations today, because it has this fuzzy kind of like semi-hollow cap. It's very large. It's like a hat, right? It's like a fez. Like Lumiere Garcon is wearing a little fez right there. It should have a little tassel, honestly. That would really complete the look. If they had put a little tassel that hangs down, then it would be sick. So close. But the fragrance, darn good. Let's go Checkmate King next. This is Armaf. And this little beauté is Scandal Absolute. Kind of a similar like bottle profile here, these two. Very like squat and wide. Woo! Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's real nice. It really captures Scandal Absolute. It's got that sweetness, that plum off the top. And as it dries down, it maintains that magnetic kind of sweetness. Quality, very, very, very good. Presentation style, interesting. Get the king chess piece right there. But you know, I don't hate it. I like myself a little bit of gaudiness every now and then, and all things considered, this one looks pretty good. Then we have Varakh Gold. This one is Fragrance World, not French Avenue. Oh. And this is a Paco Rabanne fragrance, or excuse me, I mean Rabanne. It is 1 million Golden Oud, which that one you can still find. As of this video, it's available at JOMASHOP for like 115 bucks or so. And it smells similar to Halfeti from Penhaligon's, kind of in that wheelhouse, which means that you could technically use this fragrance also as an alternative to Halfeti, which also means if you really want to stretch it, you could use it as an alternative to Oud Malaki from Chopard. Yeah. Kind of funny how that works. So this is one that has a good amount of spice in there, fresh spices, warm spices, sweet spices, with kind of a leathery oud aspect working underneath, but it is still really smooth. So even though this is technically a Rabanne alternative, which is a designer, it also could be Penhaligon's as well. Like I said, if you wanted to stretch your imagination a little bit. Last but not least, over here, a fragrance that looks absolutely nothing like the scent that it's similar to, and also the name, nothing alike at all. This one is from Giovany, and the fragrance is called Genuine Man Reserve. As I said, there's no chance that you know what this is. It's completely its own thing. It does smell similar to a very popular fragrance though. It is similar to, wait for it, Gentleman Reserve Privé. Bruh. So of course, you already knew that, I'm assuming. And that's one that is surprisingly close when you first spray it on. It does have maybe a little bit more of like a leathery undertone to it. That's gonna be the main difference. I would not say it is a direct one-to-one, and I am a massive lover of Reserve Privé, and frankly, a whole mess load of the originals that I'm talking about. And if you have the cash flow, pony it up, scoop up that OG, you won't regret it. But if you want something cheaper to wear sometimes when you don't want to wear the OG, or if maybe you don't have the money to spend, or you don't want to spend the money for the OG, which are both completely valid reasons, then these will do the job for you. And some of them are absurdly, ridiculously good and close for much less. So there is that. So there we have it, guys. 10 different designer fragrances, mainly newer ones, that have all gotten a good amount of hype, some more than others, but still, and some of the absolute best alternatives to those fragrances. Oh, giveaway. I looked down and saw it and I was like, oh! So this is Pandora Scents Tudor. Yeah, that is a tuxedo alternative. And we got the two Franciques, the Francique brothers, 63.55 or just 63.55, and then 107.9, which this box, you know, it got like punched. Not by me, by USPS, so sorry. So we'll do the giveaway real quick here. Sorry, I forgot to bring it up earlier. Usual stuff, guys. Comment below, like the video, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Just let me know what your favorite alternative to a hype fragrance is. Doesn't have to be a clone. It could be like Explorer to Aventus. I don't care. Give me at least a couple weeks. I'll pick a winner with a bunch of other giveaways that I've been doing here lately and batch them together, and put them on the posts tab of the YouTube channel. And then if you're the winner, hit me up. I'll ship it out to you worldwide. Okay, there. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourself. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.